The New York Times is panicking about the 2020 election as Joe Biden begins to implode. In this video, we're going to take a look at 5 reasons the Times believes Biden should be panicked, how those reasons are absolutely valid, and how it all points to the fact that 2020 looks like it's going to be another electoral nightmare for the Democrats and the lunatic left. You're not going to want to miss this. Greetings, everyone, patrons all across the globe. Dr. Steve here with you. Great to be with you as always. If this is your first time here with us and you're looking for some daily encouragement and optimism, as well as some analysis to help you make sense of these crazy times, you have found your oasis in this channel. We post 2 videos a day analyzing current events, analyze some super awesome conservative trends so we can all live in the present in light of even better things to come. So you know what to do if you haven't already done so. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. It'd be an absolute privilege to have you as a regular part of this channel where each and every day we together celebrate, yes, the inevitable collapse of left-wing globalism and the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age. But first, we've got an awesome new device that's here to keep you personally cool in the midst of some of the more, shall we say, sweltering summers or even overly heated workspaces and interiors. It's called the Arctic Breeze 3-in-1 air cooler, and it's a mini air conditioner unit that's small and compact enough to put right on your desk. It works as a portable air cooler, air purifier, and air humidifier. Plus, it has 3 different wind speeds and USB connectivity so it can be powered by multiple devices. Now, if you click on the link down below today, for a limited time, they're offering this little gem at 50% off plus free shipping to boot. So, I mean, you heard that right, 50% off, free shipping. So don't wait. It's a limited time offer. Click on that link below or go to easysummercool.com and order your personal portable AC unit today. All right, gang, they're starting to panic. The New York Times is panicking over Biden. They're really finally beginning to realize as we move into October, just a few weeks before the election, all the trends show that Trump is surging and Biden is slipping. And that ain't good. And so writing for the Times, contributor Thomas Edsall entitled his piece, 5 things Biden and his allies should be worried about. It's a fascinating piece because it's such a 180 from where we were, where we were just a couple of months ago and what we're hearing from the New York Times, that Trump was finished. I mean, you had Thomas Friedman of the Times arguing that Biden's got this election in such a lock, he doesn't even need to debate Trump. In fact, he encouraged Biden, just skip the debates altogether. But this article is a total 180 from all that. It's really recognizing that Trump is poised to win, or at least he's seeing all the warning signs out there pointing to another Trump victory. And so with just 6 weeks to go, this fellow Edsall lists out 5 things that the Biden campaign needs to start panicking about, or at least find some way of rectifying them. First and foremost, quote, there are indications that Trump's base of support, whites without college degrees, is more energized and committed to voting this year than any other key Democratic constituencies. And there's also evidence that polling does not reflect this. Now, this is interesting, or at least it's interesting that this writer would lead with this observation, because in many respects, this is what sunk Hillary in 2016. There were nearly 200 counties that have voted for the Democratic presidential candidate in every single election since 1984 by a 20-point margin that suddenly swung over and voted for Trump by a comparable 20-point margin. You have to let that hit you. I think it's a major indicator of this massive political paradigm shift that's going on here. There were county after county after county, nearly 200 of them in Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan, Pennsylvania, that voted for Mondale and then Dukakis and then Clinton twice and then Al Gore and Kerry and Obama twice. They didn't just vote for them. They gave them 20-point margin victories for the last 3 decades. And then all of a sudden, the shock of pollsters and pundits alike, these counties turned around and voted for Donald Trump by a comparable 20-point margin, making more or less a 40-point swing towards the nationalist populist right. That's why we really saw 6 Democratic mayors very recently in Minnesota turn around and endorse President Trump for re-election. These mayors are part of this mass defection that started in 2016 and appears it's even grown since then into 2020. Remember, Trump won among whites without college degrees so much that even if Hillary got Barack Obama's turnout among black voters, she still would have lost. I mean, that's what this New York Times value is panicking over, right? That we're seeing signs here that this is going to happen all over again, that this is part of this new political realignment. The second thing Biden should fear is Latinos. Trump is absolutely killing it among Latinos. You probably saw this poll from Florida. Trump is beating Biden with Latinos 50% to 46%. And that's a big reason why Trump has taken the lead in Florida. According to the new Washington Post ABC poll, President Trump is now leading Biden by 4 points, 51 to 47% in Florida. And he's even beating Biden in Arizona, 49% to 48%. So this is the second big problem that Biden is facing. Not only has he and the Democrats as a whole lost the white without college degree vote, but they're fast losing the Latino vote, at least in key areas like Florida and Arizona. So once again, we're seeing 2016 shape up again, where Trump is becoming dominant in Florida, along with the so-called blue wall states of white working class voters in Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Minnesota. He really is poised to win Minnesota more than any other Republican candidate since 1972. Minnesota hasn't voted for Republicans since the 1970s. So the white vote and Latino vote are going Trump. That's Biden's second problem. But the third reason for Biden to panic may be the worst of them all. But before we get into that, I want to make sure that you all know that we have tons of special videos that are available only to members of our Turley Talks Insiders Club, which you can now join at a special low price that we're offering for a limited time by clicking on the link below in the pinned comment section. Now, if you want more access to me and to a whole global network of conservatives all over the world, you will definitely want to become a Turley Talks Insiders Club member. You get all kinds of deep dive videos, get all kinds of merch and benefits, which you're going to absolutely love, and all for an all-time low price. But it's a limited time offer, so don't wait. Make sure you click on that link below and become a Turley Talks Insiders Club member today. All right, so this third reason to panic may be the biggest panic point of them all. The third problem for Biden actually involves the whole mail-in ballot scheme. Quote, absentee voting is expected to be higher among Democrats than Republicans, subjecting their ballots to a greater risk of rejection, a fate more common to mailed-in votes than to in-person voting. Now, we talked about this in another video where the Democrats were all worried that Trump was staging, I kid you not, a coup d'etat. It's just so hilarious how panicky the Democrats get, and then what ends up coming out of their mouths as a result of that panic. Democrats are actually coming out and speculating as to whether President Trump is planning a coup d'etat. What they're really concerned over here are the moves that Trump has been making to radically discredit the whole mail-in ballot hoax, right? They can't believe how effective he's been in casting doubt on the whole thing, on how prone it is to fraud and abuse, and that Trump is going to make sure that those mail-in ballots are tied up in court way past the January 20th inauguration date, which he will have secured because of the so-called red mirage on Election Day, with all 60 million plus Trump voters coming out to vote en masse on November 3rd. And so leftists are actually panicked that Trump has effectively thwarted their mail-in voting scheme, which of course is an admission that they've lost control over the whole mail-in ballot gimmick. The Democrats' obsession with mail-in ballots is coming back to bite them as they more and more realize that President Trump can easily exploit all the ambiguities and suspicions and uncertainties that mail-in ballots by their nature are fraught with. And of course, the obvious question is, why on earth didn't the Democrats figure that out before they went all in on mail-in ballots? Didn't they realize that Trump could use this totally to his own political advantage? As we pointed out in our last video on this, everyone admits, Democrat and Republican, everyone admits that mail-in ballots are the most fraud-prone manner of voting. This all goes back to a 2005 bipartisan report authored by the Commission on Federal Election Reform, which was chaired by all people Jimmy Carter, which concluded that absentee ballots remain the single largest source of potential voter fraud in American elections. This isn't even controversial, but that didn't stop the Democrats and their ideological comrades in the mainstream Marxist media from insisting on mail-in ballots. For heaven's sakes, they were insisting that the integrity of democracy was at stake if we didn't have hundreds of millions of mail-in ballots sent throughout the entire nation. And now what are we seeing? We're seeing major voices on the left admitting that this may have been the biggest mistake they could have made imaginable. They're recognizing that President Trump can easily exploit all the uncertainties and suspicions surrounding mail-in ballots to his own political gain. So that's Joe Biden's third problem. The mail-in ballots that he's so reliant on are going to be contested in ways he and the Democrats never even imagined. Then the fourth and fifth things for Biden to panic over are rather anemic. The fourth issue involves the generic Democratic-Republican vote. Would you be more willing to vote for a Republican or Democratic candidate for Congress, this generic ballot? And the article points out that throughout early July, the question favored Democrats by more than 10 points, but that's since narrowed to 6 points. And it's going to continue to narrow. Again, this advantage didn't help the Democrats much in 2018 when there was supposed to be this, massive blue wave that never came about. And then the fifth thing involves the debates. Biden is most likely going to be overwhelmed by Trump, who's the Godzilla of politics, right? Trump's personality is just going to be way too much for Biden. Look, again, this isn't difficult. What the left-wing activists disguised as journalists have been relying on is the hope. And in the end, that's all it ever was, the hope that Biden's poll numbers were going to hold throughout this entire campaign process. But there were a number of pundits who recognized that his hiding in the basement strategy was absolutely doomed to fail, that it was an abject disaster. And as it turns out, they were right. You're right. You reap what you sow. The hatred for Trump is nowhere as intense as the insane, deranged Marxist media hates him. Nowhere. In fact, we're finding that in the heartland of America, mid-America, as it were. Voters generally like Trump, right? They voted for him in order to disrupt Washington, D.C., and Trump has been doing that, and they're ready to reward him in November for it. And even the New York Times, to their utter horror, is beginning to realize that. Now, before you go, make sure to like this video, comment down below, and subscribe to my channel. And you'll definitely want to check out my latest video. I just uploaded it on how Americans are being red-pilled like never before as the mob-instigated riots in Louisville and across the nation are guaranteeing President Trump's re-election. You're not going to want to miss this. So make sure to click on the link, and I will see you over there. God bless.